Well, hi guys, and welcome to our Friday Farm Chat. It is a beautiful day here in Harrison County. I'm Melanie Bruck, Education Program Coordinator for Les Hills Agriculture in the Classroom. It's a regional effort of the Iowa Ag Literacy Foundation. I'm here today with my favorite farmer, who also happens to be my husband, Richard Bruck.
Hi.
And we're going to talk about alfalfa hay and livestock. Now, a farm chat is a very unique opportunity for students in a classroom to visit with a farmer in real time, to see the farm, to experience the livestock, and to not have to leave their classroom. So we thank you for joining us. If you'd like to comment below where you're watching from or any kind of experience you might have with agriculture, we'd love to see that. Now, where you're watching from would be good if you'd like to tell us where you're watching from. We're here today on our 120, which is 15 miles southwest of the Les Hills offices, which are located in Harlan, Iowa. We're going to take a few minutes now to get to know Richard. So, as Richard's standing there so nicely for me, that's a picture of our cattle, the hay bales, mower, other equipment that it uses to produce hay. And then that is the rest of our 120. And you can see the timber. Now, Richard, why do we call it the 120?
It's 120 acres on this farm.
Pretty simple explanation, isn't it? Can you tell us how long you've been farming?
Yeah, I've been farming 24 years. I started when I was 18.
And how did you learn how to farm?
By watching my father and grandfather. You pick up things as you're riding along in a tractor and stuff.
Do you mind giving us an overview of our farming operation?
We raise cows. We have beef cows. Have baby calves we raise until they're approximately a year old. And we raise corn and soybeans and alfalfa pretty much for the cows in the winter time.
Now, what kind of crops or livestock have been raised here on the 120?
We seeded oats, which is a cover crop for alfalfa here, I believe it was 4 years ago. And then alfalfa has been since then. But we had corn previously to that for 4 years, I believe. But before that, it was all pasture. When I bought the farm, it was all in grass, and the cows had kind of made a few tracks and stuff, so I wanted to smooth it up. That's why we tore it up and started farming it. Would have been 10 years ago approximately now.
So is this entire farm hay alfalfa, or are there other things on it?
No, there's about 90 acres of hay here on this farm. There is roughly 30 acres that we have in timber pasture. I do not want to take the trees out, so because they provide good shade for the cows in the summertime, and so we've fenced that off so that the cows have shade, and that way we don't till any of that ground.
And if you step this way just a little bit, we can see pan over and see some of the timber. And you said that goes for 30 acres?
Yeah, there's about 15 in the spot you're showing now, and to the west there's another about 15 acres in the back corner of the farm. It's not really very steep, but it had a lot of trees on it when I bought the farm. Okay. So that's why I just left it.
Now we're standing here on an alley. Cows eat alfalfa hay, but it looks like they're fenced off of the field. Can you explain to us why they don't just graze the alfalfa?
Yeah, the alfalfa, if they eat too much of it when it's really green like this, they can bloat, and that because of their ruminant stomach systems, and that will basically cause indigestion, and they won't survive that. So you have to cure the alfalfa before you can feed it to them, unless you feed them bloat blocks constantly. And I know some people that have done that can be done successfully.
Now, growing alfalfa or curing alfalfa is a pretty detailed process. Do you mind taking us through some of those steps, and I'll follow you along?
Sure. We moved some equipment here last night, and I mowed 4 strips here with the mower conditioner to my right. I'll show it to you. The mower mows this particular mower mows the hay. It's a disc mower, so it's got blades on what we call a turtle on the bottom. Blades are about 3.5 inches long. They spin really fast, and it shoots the hay up into some rollers, and it crimps the hay, and I'll show you that later, but it breaks the stem. That makes it so it dries faster. The alfalfa, you need it to cure or dry out so you can bale it, roll it up. Otherwise, if you put it in a roll when it's too wet, then it will mold. It'll heat and mold, and that's no good. It lowers your feed value of your hay, and the object is to get the best hay that you can put up throughout the summer, because you're going to need that feed in the wintertime.
All right. I see you have the part of the mower lifted up. Are you able to show us what those turtles look like?
Sure.
I'll follow you.
Okay. The turtles are this piece here, and then this is what they call the knife, and it bolts on down here. They're a sharp edge, and they, like I said, they spin really fast. I don't know how fast they spin, but they spin really, really fast. You can't see them moving in there. And it takes the hay and it cuts it off right here, and then it throws it up here, and then it catches in them rollers. And that's where I was talking about, where it crimps the stems. Them rollers spin opposite directions, and it breaks some stems and shoots it out the back. That's how you get the windrows that we have out here where we're walking right now.
Show those. So you mowed 2 passes here last night.
Yep. It was a little muddy. You can see the tracks in the field. It wasn't ideal conditions because it's been raining for 3 days now. But I wanted to show what it looked like when it was mowed. Usually hay takes roughly 3 days to dry or cure if you have good conditions. Today is a beautiful day outside. It will dry nicely today, but it's supposed to rain again on Saturday night, I believe. So it won't dry soon enough to get this put up. So after you mow, you have to wait roughly 3 days, and then we rake our hay.
Richard's going to take us over to a wheel rake that we brought up here this morning.
This is our wheel rake. They call it a wheel rake because these here spin, and they pick the hay up. It folds out, sets on the ground, and then wheels spin real slow, and it picks the hay up and then puts it in a tighter windrow. If the hay has been rained on a few times, we have what we call a gyro rake, and it only moves one windrow at a time. This machine runs 2 windrows together. The gyro rake runs one, and it lifts it up and fluffs it, but the deal spins sideways. I guess that's the best way I can describe that.
And then after you rake it, what's the next step?
And you wait for it to dry. Usually it'll take just, maybe six or eight hours to dry after you rake it, if you have a windy or sunny day. And then you bale hay. This is our baler. It's a John Deere baler. I know there's several other kinds of machines that put up hay. That we run John Deere equipment around on this farm. The net wrap on the back here. This is the roll of net wrap you put in, and if you see the little strings in the net wrap, that is what helps shed your water on your bale. So after it's wrapped up in a big roll, this gets put on by the baler automatically with a monitor in the cab. The net wrap goes around the bale. Usually we put 3 wraps on with the hay. It helps shed the water longer. The more wraps you put on, it's like putting a plastic bag on a loaf of bread or something like that. It helps seal it and keep the moisture out of it. That way preserves your hay longer.
And the bales, what kind of bales does that baler produce?
This baler produces round bales.
I'm going to get a good view of the side of it here for you. Now, just like in farming, and it seems to happen, we moved this equipment here last night, and we got here this morning, and we noticed there was a flat tire on the tractor. So that's what we're going to spend a little bit of time taking care of this afternoon. It's just one of those things that goes along with farming. If you've got wheels up, sometimes you've got wheels down. So, and then after you bale, you were going to show us what the round bales look like? Yeah,
I want to show you the pickup on the mower. When you're baling, the PTO on the tractor runs the baler. So you drive the tractor and the hay comes in underneath the here. And these teeth on the bottom pick the hay up and put it up into the baler. And then belts spin, and that's what rolls your bale. It actually rolls the bale in the baler as it's baling. The baler will pack the hay. When it's out in the field, you want it fluffed up some. That helps air get to it and dry it better or cure it. The baler packs it in tight so that moisture can't get in. That's another reason why you use a baler, or a square baler does the same thing. It packs that hay in tight so that air and moisture can't get inside the bale, and it'll rot the hay if that happens.
Now, it seems like putting up hay is pretty labor intensive. If you want to hold just one moment, we do have a crew that works for us during the summer, and that's our baling crew right there. Wave baling crew.
That's our two boys. They really like putting up hay. It's probably their favorite crop that we raise to harvest. It does take an awful lot of time putting up hay. You have to go across the same field at least 3 times because you mow, you rake, and you bale. And that's just if everything's great. Sometimes it rains or the weather isn't quite right, and you have to rake it again. I've had to rake hay 4 times in the past. Usually it doesn't turn out very well when you have to do that, but that's part of haying.
And you did say you sometimes have to rake it 4 times. Do you only get 1 cutting of hay?
No, we try to get 4 cuttings. Optimum time to mow hay is between bud and bloom stage, or right before bud even. That's when your relative feed value is the highest, protein content in the hay. If you do get it mowed, we're a little bit later this year, it seems like, because we had a cooler spring. The hay, if you get mowed after it's flowered already, and your flowers are usually white or purple, then you probably will only get 3 cuttings because it's too late before you can get your 4th cutting, because it's like 30 days in between cuttings. And if you mow that last cutting too late, you run the risk of ruining your stand. You have just so many plants in a square foot area of the hay field, and if it freezes hard when that just grows a little bit after you cut that last cutting, then it can kill them plants. And then if that happens, your stand is weak, then it's not worth keeping it in hay. You need to do something else with the hay field.
Okay.
And usually you'd prefer to have a hay field last between 5 and 7 years, because it does cost quite a bit to put a hay field into production.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned that we have John Deere. That's what we run. That we run green. But is there another reason why we prefer John Deere? Would you tell us a little bit about your education and your background? I forgot to ask in the beginning.
Yeah, when I knew I couldn't start farming right away when I got out of high school. It costs a lot to get into farming, and so I went to John Deere school in Milford, Nebraska, and I worked for a John Deere dealership for approximately 10 years. After my education out there, I learned a lot. It was a really good experience being in customer service, I guess you would call that industry pretty much. I've always enjoyed farming, and I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I knew I couldn't get there right away. So I went down another path to start with, and I came back back to the farm. I farmed while I was mechanicking, but this is what I wanted to do.
You know, that path has kept our labor costs, or our mechanics costs, down too. Richard's able to work on a lot of our own equipment, and so when things break down in the field, we don't have to wait for a technician. We've got one right on hand.
Yeah.
Now, I think if we have time, if you don't mind showing us the round bales.
On some of our farms, we do put bales out for the cows in the summertime. Usually the cows are on grass, and they don't really need any hay or alfalfa, but I put a few bales out for certain farms because they're close. Also, it gives the cows some dry matter. The ruminant system that they are, if they have a washy grass constantly, they don't get as much nutrients out of it. So I give them a little dry matter. They don't eat the hay very fast, but if you notice, we do have some bales sitting out here, and they have chewed on them. So they are eating it, and they were eating just like 10 minutes ago before we started this chat. But
they do seem quite content. They're quiet and laying down. The cows seem to be getting absolutely everything they need this morning. Good job, dear.
Yeah. This is our 7810. We have a bale spear on the back and the grapple on the front. We can put a bale spear on the front. Usually we do have that when we're moving hay bales. But there's another part of hay, and after you have baled, then you have all these bales sitting there in the field, and they need to get moved either off to the side or to your stockpile at home or a farm where your cows are. So we load up the bales. Usually my youngest son, he enjoys it. Loads them with the 7810 onto a bale trailer. We didn't bring that up here today. And then haul them home with the pickup and then unload them again. But this is just one of the tractors we use to do that. I wanted to show that there's equipment also for moving bales.
Very good. And you have two bales there on the other side of the tractor, and they both look like hay bales to me. And you're going to tell us the difference and why an experienced farmer and what they're used for.
There's two bales here. One of them is an alfalfa bale, and the other one is an oats bale. The alfalfa bale was baled last year because we haven't baled any yet this year, so I didn't have any to bring out here, new bales. So this is a bale from last year. I believe it's first cutting from last year. The stems are a little bit coarser. That's the only reason I say that. It's a pretty good bale. It's still got its shape. It's still upright, round. And it's pretty solid yet too. I think we probably got this hay put up pretty good last year. This bale here is actually an oats bale. There are guys that combine their oats. Most guys around here mow the oats off of the field. Oats, like I said before, is our cover crop for the alfalfa. The oats grow fast. Alfalfa grows real slow. So we seed oats first along with the alfalfa. That way the oats get ahead of the alfalfa so weeds don't come real bad. I know that you can clear seed alfalfa in the fall. Then you don't have the weed pressure because things aren't growing as much and the alfalfa comes up in the spring. Usually you make preparations for a new hayfield in the springtime, because if you have a stand that went bad in the wintertime, then you have to do something right away to make sure that you have enough feed for winter.
Sounds like a lot of planning's involved here, and that actually brings us to one of our questions. Trish would like to know, how do you figure out how many bales you will need to feed your cattle through the winter to make sure that you have enough?
Well, we have feeder calves that we're always feeding also, and I usually figure that we need a good 2 to 3 bales per cow for the winter time, and then we usually need about 100 bales or so to get our feeder calves to February. That's when we usually sell our feeder calves. This last year we had a lot of hay that we had put up, and it was pretty good quality, so we took and bought some calves to feed, and so we have quite a few calves yet at home we're feeding. We put up almost 1,000 round bales last summer. It was a pretty big year for us as far as haying goes.
And did we feed all of that?
No, we currently still have some hay sitting at home yet.
And we were able to sell?
We sold a few bales. There's some neighbors around here that were short on hay, so we did sell a few bales. Alfalfa usually is between 150 and 225 bucks a bale in this area. Oats is usually less than that. There are winters that are real bad. Hay does get up to 250 or so. I don't even remember what we sold ours for this last winter. I think it was probably 150. It wasn't a real bad winter around here this year. That's another reason we had a lot of extra hay sitting.
So there's a lot of planning that needs to take place the summer before the winter that you're having livestock. That kind of brings us to one of our last questions for you, Richard, is from a farmer's perspective, why do you see the FarmChat as being valuable? Why did you agree to do it today, and what sort of things can students receive from having a real live interview with a farmer?
The main reason I agreed to do this today is I think that agriculture is very important in this country, and I'm sad to say that I don't think a lot of younger people understand what it all takes to grow and raise crops and food and cattle, hogs, chickens, everything that you consume as a consumer. And we need more people to understand what farming is all about. And the second reason is my wife asked, and I kind of do what she asks, so.
That's a good one. Well, if you can see, pan one more time, and I'll show you the cattle. You know, these decisions are made months and years in advance before our product gets to the grocery store. And so Richard's one of the farmers that helps take care of that for us. We're really appreciative of him spending his time and taking care of this FarmChat for us. It looks like I had one question also. Kevin wanted to know about the chickens. We don't have any chickens here on this farm. Our timber is full of predators, and so the chickens need a coop in order to stay safe. So those chickens are at our home place. So unless anybody else has a question or a comment, I'll be scrolling through those, and I can answer them later today. But if that's it, then we'll say goodbye. And thank you, Richard, for being with us today. And just happy to share this little piece of our farm with you.
Thanks for tuning in.